Yeah, I started tattooing 12 years ago, and I guess the past 5 years it's kind of evolved into the fine art world and fashion world, and kind of spilled over into everything else. First tattoo? Yeah, I mean, I was 15 years old, and same thing. Like, I didn't care what I got. Like, I just wanted a tattoo. Like, I was underage. There was this waiter at a restaurant near my house that kind of looked like me and like had the same haircut, and he was 18. So I borrowed his driver's license for the day, and I went to the tattoo shop, and I was like, I got $20. What can I get? Essentially it was like this old biker guy like just looked at me, and he's like, I got, he's like $20. He's like, you can get a butterfly or you can get a skull, and it was very much like boys get skulls, girls get butterflies. So I was like, okay, give me a skull. Yeah, but like I didn't care what it was. I just wanted a tattoo. It didn't matter. When I was young and I got my first tattoo, like the attitude towards tattoos was different then. Essentially there were people who had tattoos, and there were people who didn't have tattoos. It didn't matter what you had. Like, if you had a tattoo, you were a tattooed person. Whereas now, like, it's you see it in the media so much. It's less, people are less like affected by the fact that you have tattoos, and they pay more attention to what you have tattooed or why you have tattooed. When you say tattoo, people instantly associate that with permanence. Like, they think, oh, permanence, and it's intimidating because of its permanence. But in all the mediums I work in, tattooing is the most ephemeral. Like, tattooing is actually the most temporary, because you'll do a tattoo and it'll walk out the door. It could get hit by a bus. It'll get a sunburn. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's out there in the world, and it has its own life. Whereas artwork is, when I do a painting or a sculpture, you know what I mean? Like, it goes to a gallery and it goes in a collection, and like, I'm gonna have to answer for that painting, 20 years from now. You know what I mean? Like, that painting is has a lot more longevity, whereas tattoos are more spontaneous. They're more immediate. They're more right now. Like, and I love that about them, and they have a passion to them. Like, they're never going to go to auction. They're never going to be resold. They were done in that moment for whatever emotional reasons that person had. So many people, when they get tattooed, especially like the first or second tattoo, they put so much pressure on it. Like, I have to take my whole life. I have to summarize my whole life in one little image this big. Like, I have to figure out an image that like perfectly represents every aspect of me. And that's so much responsibility to put on one little image. That's huge. That's too much pressure for one little design. And I think in that much deliberation, you end up losing a lot of sincerity and a lot of spontaneity. I love my tattoos. Like, they're such a part of who I am. It's my whole like biography. Like, it's funny. The other day, I was in Moscow, and this sweet little Russian lady was in the hotel with me, and she was looking, like, she saw me, I had short sleeve shirts on and shorts, and she was just like marveling at my tattoos, and she was like, but you're such a sweet boy, like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do if you wake up one day and you decide you don't want tattoos anymore? Like, you poor thing. And I was like it's not an option, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, it's like saying, what if I wake up one day and I decide I want to be Mexican? Like, it's just not who I am. Like, this is everywhere I've been in my life, and there's, like, I don't have the luxury of denying my past. Like, in public, I'm pretty discreet about it. Like, I can put on my normal guy costume when I need to, and button up.